Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ursula Susan Fontano, and I am the Chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I'd like to welcome you this evening to our Zoning Board of Appeals meeting of Wednesday, July the 19th, 2023. We have our board members here this evening, our clerk, Catherine Garavaglia, our co-chair, Ann Brockelman. We have Zach Zaremba, Brian Cook, and Cecia Daglin. We're all here to take care of these cases tonight to serve you, and we appreciate it. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting of the Somerville Zoning Board of Appeals will be conducted via remote participation. A recording of these proceedings can be accessed at any time using the registration link at the top of this agenda. Start off this evening, it's general business. We have approval of minutes. Madam Clerk, could you please take care of that?
Yes, Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the May 3rd and June 14th, 2023 minutes.
As
Second.
presented. Thank you, Brian. As we go around, Brian Cook,
Aye, or yes?
thank you. Susan Fontano, yes. Cecia Daglian,
Yes.
Ann Brockelman,
Yes.
Zach Zaremba,
Yes.
and Catherine Garavaglia.
Yes.
Let the record show that all members here tonight, we do have we have two alternates on tonight, but all in favor of the general business approval of minutes. Thank you. We're going to go on. We have another thing. We're going to take a couple of things out of order of the agenda tonight. The first one, I'm going to have the clerk take care of. It's a matter of 27 Fountain Ave.
Oh, yes, Madam Chair, I would like to open 27 Fountain Ave, P&Z 23-037, where the applicants are seeking relief from the required setbacks in the neighborhood residence district and require hardship variance. This matter is being continued so it can be republicized.
Could I ask for the record from the planning staff, the date of that continuance? Is it August 2nd?
Madam Chair, this is Emily Hutchings, Senior Planner, correct. That re-advertisement is for the August 2nd Zoning Board of Appeals meeting.
Thank you. That was just for the record. I appreciate it. May I have a second on the continuance? Board,
Second.
Brian Cook, second. Go around. Brian Cook, in favor of the continuance.
Yes.
Cecia Daglian,
Yes.
Ann Brockelman,
Yes.
Catherine Garavaglia,
Yes.
Zachary Zaremba,
Yes.
and myself, Susan Fontano, yes. Like the record show, it was all approved for continuance till August 2nd. Now, on the agenda tonight, two cases were taken out of order. The first one will be, and they're all new cases, 34 Allen Street. Madam Clerk.
Yes, I'd like to open 34 Allen Street, P&Z 23-028. The applicant seeks to establish a veterinary principal use in a pre-existing non-conforming commercial building in the neighborhood residence district and requires a special permit.
Thank you. Are the applicants here?
Madam Chair, this is Emily Hutchings. I do see the applicant and I believe the attorney for the applicant present. I am promoting Ann Rigorito to be a panelist, as well as Chris Ulrich. As a matter of procedure, may I ask which of our alternates will be voting on this matter this evening?
Yes, we have several cases, so I'm going to go tonight. I'll start off with Brian Cook, please. And next case, we'll have Cecia. Is the applicant here, Ann Vigorito?
Yes, good evening. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, Madam Clerk. This is Attorney Ann Vigorito. I represent the applicant, Chris Ulrich. Also joining us this evening is our architect, Tanya Carrier from Khalsa Design. So if she can get promoted so that she can share her screen and so forth, that would be great.
Madam Chair, this is Emily Hutchings again. I have promoted Tanya, so she should be a panelist as well.
Beautiful,
Thank
thank you.
So I'm going to give a brief introduction, and then I will have Tanya take over. And our applicant, Chris Ulrich, he's a veterinarian. He's going to address the board very briefly at the end. I think because it's such a personal matter to him, he'd like to address the board. So as stated, this is 34 Allen Street. The proposal is in an NR zoning district. The site is about 5,300 square feet. And the building that sits there is approximately 2,700 square feet. It's currently used as a gym facility. So, you know, it's obviously already in a non-conforming use. So the proposal here is to open up a sole practitioner veterinarian practice. Chris Ulrich will be the main veterinarian. So we do need the special permit for the use only. And currently there are 7 existing parking spaces. Those will not change. We will be adding a walkway to the front of the structure as well as some landscaping. There's a shed in the rear of the site and that's going to be removed. This isn't a half mile to a transit walk shed. We had a neighborhood meeting which was held virtually and hosted by Councilor J.T. Scott back on April 10th of 2023. The proposal was very well received, and that brings us here this evening. You know, the neighbors, and I have to say, Councilor Scott was extremely helpful in getting us to this point, as originally there, back at the end of last year, there was a zoning change that allowed for this type of use by special permit. So that's what brings us here this evening. And I am going to now have Tanya go through the plans. At the end, I can, you know, go through some of the criteria, but I figure it's more important for you to hear from Tanya right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Vigorito. Tanya?
Great. Yes, thank you. And Susan, I don't have screen share abilities permission granted. I don't know if you.
Apologies, one moment.
Emily's going to work on that, Tanya. Tanya, for the record for me, what's your last name?
Tanya Carrier.
Thank you.
Okay, there. So I assume the screen share worked now. So I'll get right into it. So yes, we're located at 34 Allen Street. We are repurposing the existing building. We're not proposing any new structures outside of the existing building except for some facade aesthetic improvements. So here's our existing site. We do have parking existing in the front yard, 7 spaces, which we'd like to retain. And we did prepare a proposed landscape plan. So at the front of the site, we have our existing 7 spaces. We are proposing a new walkway along the building of pervious pavers, just to dress it up a bit. And along with that, a planter box on the center of the building with some vines that will grow up the facade enhancement we're showing, and some different other plants such as Pennsylvania sedge. And then on the rear, we are proposing to remove the existing shed and replace it with a 6-foot-high solid fence trash enclosure. And just to show you the existing plans, our front facade is here. Currently, there's 2 kind of oversized garage doors and 2 additional doors with a window in the middle. And it's a split face CMU block look. And our proposed zoning, so as Ann mentioned, we are seeking the change of use to a veterinary office. And just quick cap of the plans. We're proposing the main entry here in the front to the left side, reception waiting area. Then we'd have 5 exam rooms that would lead into the tech lab and doctor area, storage room, surgery room, x-ray room, and then a break room for staff at the front with access to the outside as well. And we do have 2 toilets, a public toilet and a staff toilet. And for the front facade, we are proposing to add this cedar kind of screen, which will be painted in the color of the owner's branding, a signage piece above the front door with a canopy, and replacing the garage doors with storefront style windows instead. And we'd like to paint the stucco and paint over the front facade as well. No changes to the back or sides, and just a color rendering view showing the plantings, the planter, and kind of that screen and paint that we are proposing. So that's the kind of summary of the project. So we turn it over to you for any questions.
Great, thank you very much. Before we weigh in, I usually like to allow the public to speak, and I understand that Councilor Scott is in presence. Did you like to speak now, Councilor Scott, or do you want to let your constituents speak? It's up to you.
Hi, Madam Chair. I'd be happy to go, but I do believe the applicant, Mr. Ulrich, wanted to say a few words. I wouldn't want to jump in front of him.
Okay, you guys pick whatever you like.
Madam Chair, this is
Yes.
Chris Ulrich. I'd like to.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you. I'd like to thank you and the board for hearing our appeal. I'd also like to thank Councilor Scott because he's been super helpful for the past 2 years to try to help me through this. I wanted to just kind of appeal to you that I have been a veterinarian in Somerville for 15 years. I currently have a practice on Beacon Street. And I really I've been looking for a piece of property for a long period of time, and I feel like this is a perfect size and a great placement. It's very close to our existing practice, so I feel like we can still service the local neighborhood. I want to stay as a member of the neighborhood and the community. So I was very excited when this piece of property came up for sale. And I guess that's all I have to say, and I'm just hoping you can help me out with this.
Great. Well, it looks lovely, from, taking out those doors and stuff. What type of hours you gonna have?
I currently our hours are from 8 to about 6. We do
wow.
have one night that is open till 7 on Thursdays, and we have Saturday hours until 2 o'clock.
Oh, good. Very good. Thank you so much for weighing in personally. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Alderman Scott, would you like to speak?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members of the Honorable Board here. Yeah, this has been a long process, and I think it speaks to the dedication of wanting to be in the neighborhood. I mean, this is our neighborhood, and I'm so glad that Mr. Ulrich wants to keep his practice here. We have had a ton of conversation with neighbors over the years, honestly, in addition to the official neighborhood meeting. And I got to say, it's been entirely supportive. The few concerns that people had or questions that people had, we've been able to get answers to all of them. So the neighborhood's very supportive of this. As was mentioned, it took a bit of heavy lifting. Our planning department can be a little bit distracted sometimes with everything going on in the city. It took some heavy lifting to get a zoning change in that would allow for this kind of creative reuse outside of zonings. And I think it's very much in the spirit of the small business overlay that sits on a lot of neighborhood residential here in Ward 2. I think it's a perfect reuse of this building, very supportive of it, and hopefully we can just get the special permit taken care of so that that the project can move forward. But thank you very much.
Thank you for joining in tonight, Alderman, I want to say, Councilor Scott. Nice to hear from you. Is there anyone, Emily, is there anybody else in the audience there that'd like to weigh in, pro or con?
So Madam Chair, if you're opening the public comment period, I do see
please.
a hand raised. The first hand I see is David Tatarakis. Mr. Tatarakis, I am unmuting you. You are self-muted on your end.
Welcome, Mr. Tarakas.
Madam
Hello.
Chair, this is Emily. Again, I do still see that Mr. Tatarakis is self-muted. If you click on the microphone button next to your name, that should unmute you. Madam Chair, I believe the individual is still having difficulties unmuting himself.
Is there anybody else listed?
If anyone else would like to speak on this matter, please raise your hand so I can unmute you on our end. Madam Chair, I do not see any other hands raised at this time.
Okay. Can we call out his name one more time? Get his attention.
So David Tatarakis, you do have your hand raised, but you have been unmuted on our end. You are still self-muted on your end.
Well, there's nobody else. I think I'll leave the public portion open temporarily. Let's go. Hello? Somebody speaking to me? Okay, we're gonna go to the board for their comments. So anybody, we got Brian's gonna be in on this one, but Cece is welcome to speak as well. So let's go from there. Does everybody like the project, and does anybody have any questions for it, or they don't like it? Please raise your hand so we can see you. Cece is fine, Ann Brockelman's fine, Zachary's fine, Brian Cook, are you fine? I am as well. I think it's a nice presentation. I like the idea of this business being in a neighborhood. It's nice to have smaller businesses opening up around in the smaller neighborhoods and variety stores, whatever, produce stores. It makes for a better community closeness. And I think it's came out really beautiful. So one more shout out to Mr. Radicus. David, can you hear us and speak? Unmute your mic and you'll be ready to go. Well, I think at this time we'll close the public portion of this meeting. And the board, it seems they're all in favor. You ready to vote? Yes, beautiful. Catherine Garavaglia, are you there?
I am here, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Would you make a motion? We all are in favor of this 34 Allen Street.
Yes, Madam Chair. I just have to get my notes up. So in the matter of P&Z 23 wrong number. In P&Z 23-028, I'd like to make a motion to approve the applicant's request for veterinary use and the special permit. I might need some help with the wording if that's not quite right, Emily.
Yeah, we'll just chime right in. Pre-existing non-conforming commercial building in a neighborhood resident district which require the special permit.
So, Madam Chair, this is Emily Hutchings.
Yes.
My one question is whether that motion, whether you would like that to include the findings and considerations and the conditions as proposed in the staff memo.
Absolutely. Thank you for picking us up on that. Second. A minute. That was the staff memo of July 5th, 2023. All in favor as we go around, please say aye.
Need a
Brian
second.
Cook? No one second? All right. Do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
Second from Zachary Zaremba. Thank you so much. Brian Cook, yay or nay?
Yay.
Ann Brockelman,
Yes.
Zachary Zaremba,
Yes.
Catherine Garavaglia,
Yes.
and myself, Susan Fontano, yes. Let the record show, all in favor is unanimous. Good luck, doctor. And all of us with pets, we might be down to see you. Good luck.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, members of the board. Have a great evening. Thanks so much.
Okey-doke. Our second case tonight out of order is 29 Lake Street. Catherine,
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to open 29 Lake Street, P and Z 23-033. The applicants are seeking relief from the maximum amount of stories permitted in the neighborhood residence district and require a hardship variance.
thank you. Are the applicants here, Esther Silberstein and David Malava? Are you here?
Madam Chair, this is Emily Hutchings. I see both the applicants. I am in the process of making them both panelists.
Thank you.
Would I be able to be granted permission to share my screen as well?
Absolutely. Hold on one moment. Ms. Silberstein, this is Emily Hutchings. You should be able to share your screen now.
Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the board. I'm David Malaver. I'm joined on the presentation by my wife, Esther Silberstein. Also here is our architect, David Fenchel, who will be available to you and to the neighbors as a resource if you have any questions.
Sorry, before we jump in, my computer's giving me trouble. They want me to quit to share my screen. If we can maybe give David Fenchel, our architect, if we can make him a panelist and maybe he can share it instead.
That's fine.
Thank you so much.
Or me, I have.
Okay, or David. One of the Davids will share it.
Mr. Malaver, this is Emily Hutchings. I have made you a panelist. If you prefer, I can make Mr. Fenchel a panelist as well.
I appreciate it.
Presenters.
And I'm just trying to figure out how to share my screen. Oh, here we go. Can you confirm that you're seeing something that says request for relief?
It's very minute.
Yeah, it's
Very,
not the
very
right.
small.
We see your screen, but it's not the deck you want to share.
Okay, well, maybe maybe we can work on getting the deck going, but I don't want to take any more of the board's time than is necessary. So maybe we can catch up with what we were going to present, but I'll just launch in. As I was saying, I'm David. My wife Esther is with us here. So is David Fenchel, our architect. Esther and I live at 29 Lake Street in the upper unit. We're happy to have wonderful tenants living in the lower unit. We're seeking a variance to be able to increase the rear addition of our house to match the third story so that the third story matches the second and first stories. That requires a variance because the code currently limits rear additions to 2 stories. We need the extra space, frankly, on our 3rd floor. That's where people sleep in our house, and we're going to need more bedrooms and also at least and bathrooms where people sleep because our family is growing. We're very excited to be bringing a new Somervillian into the world. And this plan will let us live in our house and do that while maintaining the current number of units, which is very important to us, and also keeping our house similar to the neighboring houses and maintaining the overall character of the neighborhood. If you look at the sort of plans PDF that you have and you go down to page 4 of that, you can see, oh, it looks like we have caught up in the presentation. So, or if you just look at the presentation, you can see our proposed changes. On the left, you see the current plan with the roof of the rear addition extending out above the current 3rd story. That space would become a new bedroom as well as a bathroom, and that change would facilitate adding another hall bathroom to service the 2 pre-existing bedrooms. Notwithstanding that change, the overall impact is modest. There would be no change in the front view. If you look at the image in the lower left of your screen, you see a tiny little view sliver of what we propose to add, but in reality, there's a tree that blocks that view, a big, beautiful cedar tree. And so what you would really see is on the back, or if you were looking at it from the side, most of which is just shared with one house. There's no change in the footprint and no change in the number of units. The one house that we do share this alley with is one of the examples of a building that has the 3rd story rear addition and also is a neighbor who submitted a letter of support. If you go to the next slide, please, Esther. As I was saying, what we're proposing to do to our house is similar to the neighbor. That's what you see in the upper right-hand side of this slide, but also similar to many other houses on our block and the neighboring blocks that have 3rd story rear additions. What we propose to do is not going to negatively impact any of our neighbors. You can see in our written submission the full architectural language. You know, it doesn't impact their light or fresh air. It doesn't negatively impact anyone around us. And in fact, we've spoken with our neighbors at 31, at 27, and downstairs in Unit 1 of 29 Lake Street. They've all expressed support. And in addition to expressing support orally, our downstairs neighbors and our neighbors at 31 have also submitted letters of support, which we unfortunately got too late to submit in written form to the board, but I can show you those on slides. This one is from our downstairs neighbor, who this plan is really meant to protect. And the next one is from our abutting neighbor at 31 Lake Street, who's also an owner occupant on this block. So we're very happy to have the support of our immediate neighbors. We think our plan is going to be great for the house and for the neighborhood. Of course, we understand that there are 3 formal criteria that you all are being asked to judge, and I'm going to pass the baton to Esther to talk about those.
Thanks so much. Good evening, and thank you so much to the board and the staff for their time and consideration. It means a lot to us. This is really important to us and our family. I want to talk, as David said, about the 3 criteria. First is whether there are special circumstances for our lot. Second, whether literal enforcement would create substantial hardship. And third, whether relief would be detrimental to the public good. On the next slide, we put an image of the lot to demonstrate it's, as you can see, extraordinarily narrow. We know the PPZ staff in their report agreed that this was a unique circumstance. The house was also divided into 2 units by the previous owners. As David said, we want to maintain those 2 units. We don't want to expand our space by reducing the amount of units there are in the building. But what that does mean is that we can't expand our living space out or down. And really the only option we see available to us to make this house a place that we can continue to grow as a family is to increase the height of the rear addition. On the next slide, so literal enforcement will create substantial hardship for us. As David said, we are really quite simply unable, we have a hard time seeing ourselves living in this house in the long term as our family grows without this change. I'm 7 months pregnant. I'll tell you, going up and down those stairs to use the bathroom in the middle of the night is not easy. And we hope to have a newborn baby soon. Certainly not practical for that either. I work from home, so one of the bedrooms now serves as a home office, and having a second bedroom where we can have a nursery would of course be a wonderful addition to our home. Just another example is that David's grandmother came to visit us just a few weeks ago. She's 92, still in great health, thankfully, but she was unable to stay with us in our home because of the stairs, and she was unable to go up and down the stairs if we were sleeping or unavailable to help her. And so it's really important to us to be able to host our family, of course, and to have accommodations that can fit all our family members of all ages. And we really hope to be in this home for a long time, to raise our family there and to live together with our neighbors downstairs, and with literal enforcement of the code would make that really difficult for us. And finally, the 3rd criteria is whether relief would be detrimental to the public good. We know that the PBC staff agreed with us that the proposed addition would not be detrimental and that it would not substantially derogate the intent or purpose of the code. And as David demonstrated, we've talked to our neighbors. We know they're supportive of it and that they strongly stand behind us. And so we hope that also helps helps the board come to help us, comes to support us in our efforts here. That's all we have. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer them. And yeah, we really hope that this is something we can do. We love living in Somerville, and we hope to live here for a long time.
Thank you. Could you again put up on your screen the house, the duplex? Yes, the duplex, and you folks own the whole two sides, the whole building. Just you have one side.
We own 27, 29,
Which is one
the other
side.
half of 7,
Right.
which is so the right side is owned by another family that's a single unit home, and we own 29, which is a 2-unit home.
Okay, so you live on what, the 2nd and 3rd floor, so to speak? The ground level is rented
Yes.
out to that other gentleman, and then you're on the 2nd and the 3rd. Okay, and
That's correct.
all right. Now show me the back. That's good. All right. No, I don't like that. No.
Go up one, please.
You have the.
There we
As
go.
you're doing that, I just want to say, so the other side of the duplex, that's what I want to see, the two together with your addition.
You can find that on page 2 of the plans document that you
I'm
have in
looking,
front of you.
I've got something on my end now. I can see it. So they're staying at their level with the little attic window in the back, the bay window over their roof, right? And you're coming out and doing this.
That's correct.
And what did they say about this? Did they weigh in tonight with your letter? Was that the address?
That
That's
is
your next door neighbor?
That is not one of the folks who submitted a letter, but we have spoken with them and they've expressed oral support.
Right. And one other question before we turn it to the audience listening and weighing in. What made you go with this design?
I can take it. Oh, go ahead, Esther.
No, that's all right. Go.
This design, part of what's great about it, thing one, it accomplishes what we need it to accomplish in terms of the added space. Two, it doesn't change the footprint of our house. We consider it to be modest and to do honor to the original structure, including because the sort of siding of it would be in contrast to the original siding in the way we've seen on some of the other neighboring houses. It is basically the way to accomplish the most in terms of our need while doing the least in terms of changing the house or inconveniencing any of our neighbors. And that's the real advantage of this design.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to open the public portion, please, Emily.
Madam Chair, this is Emily Hutchings. Members of the public, if anyone would like to speak at this time, please raise your hand. Madam Chair, I see Councillor Scott has raised his hand.
Mr. Scott.
Hello, Madam Chair, members of the board.
Hello again.
Thank you for this. So this is a little bit of a different case, obviously, than the last one, which was just a simple special permit, discretionary special permit. Understandably, this is a request for a hardship variance, and it's one that honestly I find to be fascinating. You know, I can't say that I've known these particular neighbors too well. They only came in the last 2 years, but there are a few very distinctive pieces of this that I think speak to the hardship variance procedure in some really important ways. So, you know, I've been here to speak on some similar modifications that residents in the district have wanted to make to their houses to accommodate room for their growing families. I remember there was one on Houghton Street, one on, I want to say it was Granite Street, in particular, those two. And I really appreciated the board's thoughtful consideration and ultimate granting of those variances. Here, this is a few things that stand out to me. Obviously, the staff report is excellent, but I do take issue with it in one place, which is to say that in that staff report, it says that this particular modification, this particular hardship of the narrow and odd shape of the lot isn't particularly relevant to this structural modification. And I would disagree with that because the only other structural modification you could make to this house to extend it would be to extend the existing extension in the rear even farther back, which would necessitate a whole raft of other variances, encroachment into side setbacks, you know, further reducing the amount of that rear yard, potentially, you know, going past the square footage allowed for a rear extension. In my view, this particular variance, which would allow just to build this up and extend, basically push this extension up to the third story, is absolutely consistent with with not only the intent of the zoning, but also the intent of minimizing disruption and impact on the neighborhood. You know, there's a whole host of buildings, including the one right next to me, where the city has actually gone out of the way to say, please put an extension on the back of this that looks separate from the building, right? That is a different form factor than the roof line we have. When you look at, you know, were this a detached triple decker, an extension of this, you know, it would be nothing out of the ordinary for a building. I believe the fact that this particular modification doesn't exacerbate the problems of this narrow, odd-shaped lot is in fact the reason to grant the hardship variance, because to do anything else on this lot would require more variances and would make things more difficult and indeed be more out of sorts in the neighborhood. I walk down Lake Street every day. I think it's also a testament in terms of the support that they've received from neighbors. And I would like to point out, in terms of that first letter, I know it flashed by really fast. But something that struck me in that letter is that the downstairs neighbors, the downstairs tenants, have been there for 17 years. And I got to say, the applicants tonight just bought this property 2 years ago and have kept this family in our neighborhood when they didn't have to, right? They could, in the pursuit of needing more space for their growing family, have said, hey, thanks so much for being part of our neighborhood for 15 years, but it's time for you to hit the bricks. And I think this is truly a laudable effort to not only make room for their growing family, but to make room to keep another family in our neighborhood. So as I look at this, it seems to be an absolutely suitable and ideal application of a hardship variance. Although I understand it's for the board to deliberate and to come to your own decision, I can just say that personally, I am completely supportive of this. You know, this is the kind of design that has come to after a really hard look at all the different alternatives and different approaches that could have been taken on this particular building and this particular property. And yeah, I really think this is the best path forward. So I'm all in favor of making room for my neighbors to remain my neighbors. So I would ask that you consider that favorably, and hopefully you'll be able to find your way to approving it tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor. Are there any folks that would like to speak in the matter of 29 Lake Street? Please raise your hand so the staff person can put you on.
Madam Chair, this is Emily Hutchings. I do not see any hands raised at this time.
Okay. Then we'll close that, the public portion, and open it up to the board. Okay, gang. Questions, please, for the applicants? Questions? Yes, Mr. Cook?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Although I don't have a vote on this particular case, I do want to weigh in just because I find it a difficult hardship variance.
Brian, we lost your video, your audio. Brian? Brian? Brian?
So it
Wait, Brian?
concerns-
Brian, can you hear me? We lost your whole question and comment. Would you mind?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. We lost your audio. Could you start from the beginning, please, with your thoughts?
All right, let me try again. It's a difficult case from my point of view because we want to be careful about hardship variances. The statute and the ordinance makes the case that they ought to be rare and really address serious concerns that the zoning ordinance doesn't take account of. On the other side, we have a housing crisis, and the less displacement we have, the better off we'll be. What concerns me about the proposal is that there's a part of the first hardship consideration which the applicants don't speak to, which I think actually could have made their case more persuasive. It's not necessarily the soil conditions, shape, or topography of the parcel of land, although I understand the argument that's been made, but it's the unusual character of the existing structure that it seems to me may make a better case for a hardship variance. You have this duplex arrangement with only 2 stories in the back. And they don't provide any way for expansion unless you expand into the lot. But it seems to me that's a matter of the structure rather than the lot per se. And because of the additional considerations that the applicants have made with respect to keeping the tenants in the lower level, not wanting to displace them so that they can expand downward, and also to address their needs, they've made some decisions that have presented themselves and now the board with a hardship. I don't know exactly how I would vote were I to vote, because I'd like to hear from other members of the board. But I think this is one of those right on the edge where a lot of thoughtful conversation would really help the board reach a decision. Thank you, Madam
Thank you.
Chair.
Thank you very much. Who else has something to say? Zachary? Yes, please.
I agree with Brian that this is a little bit of a difficult case and that it's right on the edge. At this point, I'm supportive of this and granting this hardship variance. I don't want to participate in a decision that's going to be detrimental to adding more housing in Somerville. That could potentially cause the downstairs tenants who have been living there for 7 years to have to leave. I'm not an architect, so I'm not an expert on this, but looking at these plans, this addition that they're proposing to build doesn't seem like it's disruptive to the neighborhood or to change in general character of the other properties and of the neighborhood itself. I think it's an unreasonable request, and I haven't seen anything that's showing that neighbors are against this. And so if I'm looking at this from the lens of, is this going to be better for the public or not, I would say that it is, for the reasons I stated. So I'm, at this point, want to vote yes.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have something to weigh in on? Ann Brockelman, please. Good evening.
Good evening. Just a few questions and observations while we flesh this out. For staff, is there still a maximum height?
Madam Chair, this is Emily Hutchings. Raisa has having technical difficulties, so I am speaking for her on this case. The zoning requirement for rear additions is 2 stories in this district, so that is what is the variance is requesting relief for an additional story in this case.
So it's for a story, for a number of stories. It could be tall stories, or is it 12 feet here? I'm looking at the chart on page 3 of the plan set. Story height, and it says maximum story is 2.5, so that's overall 2.5, but it's 2 for rear additions. Am I understanding that correctly?
Madam Chair, through you, this is Emily Hutchings again. I believe that is correct. I'm just going really quick to the zoning ordinance to review the requirements for rear additions. That is correct. So it is a maximum of 2 stories for, let me see, it does not describe the height.
But for the overall building, that's 2.5. I don't really see this as an addition, right? The existing building overall.
Does the applicant's architect here? Is there another David you folks were
I'm
referring
here.
to?
Can you hear me?
Yes, are you the architect?
I'm the architect.
Well,
Hi.
Ann Brockelman is our board member. She is an architect. Can you answer her question?
Yes. Hi, I'm David Fenchel from Traverse Architects. Thank you. So the maximum height for a story, they have a minimum and a maximum height. So the minimum height is 10 feet per story and a maximum height of 12 feet per story.
And what are you giving us?
We are aligning with the existing floor height, and we're maintaining our height below the main massing structure. Our floor height is, trying to do some quick math, we're adding, give me just a quick second.
And I didn't want to step on your toes, so you speak with David. I just wanted to get him out so he can answer the question.
Thank you. And you can chime in when you have that answer. I'm just trying to understand within the framework of the current zoning.
Yeah. It's approximately, it's in the range of 10 to 12 feet.
Okay. So you're not putting something extra high, right, than would typically.
That's correct. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
So our primary goal was to really maintain the main mass of the front of the main building, the main massing. And so our rear addition steps down to make sure we retain the primary ridge line of the front of the building. And we step down for our rear addition in the back.
Okay. Thank you. So while you're on that elevation, drawing one rear elevation, I was surprised to see the hip roof. I'm just pointing this out. When you go to the rendering, it looked like a flat roof, but that seems to be because of the perspective view, correct?
That's correct.
Bottom right, yeah, but it actually is a hip roof going back.
Correct. It's
Okay.
A 412 pitch roof.
I mean, I am in support of the variance. My view is that this lot was overbuilt to begin with. It's really whoever built it really maximized it, putting 3 stories right up front. It's very vertical. So this addition is in character of what is existing, kind of very high density for the lot. I do prefer just simply putting this story above rather than eating into the backyard. Always in favor of more keeping the green space rather than, you could do 2.5, right? It's high, second story, really high, and then put dormers in, and you would get a lot more if you rebuilt that addition. A skinny addition going into the back, but I really prefer to have the backyard not disturbed and hopefully not paved over, because we do need backyards to save green spaces. I think it could, architecturally, more things could be done to scale it down. If you look back to the perspective, it's just straight up windows. I know it's simple, but I think because it's, you could step back a bit, right? Step back from the second floor, have a little front balcony, and that would cut down the scale so you maintain the roof line of its twin on the other side. But it's not in the public way, so I don't think I would weigh in on scale and things like that. I mean, I think it's very tall, skinny, which could be more subtly done, but I think it's fine because nobody sees it. So I understand the need to maximize, the desire to maximize the windows, keep it simple. So I'm okay. I am supportive of this. I think with the staff report, the first thing you see is deny, because staff reports often will, I think, never say recommend to approve hardship variances or usually they'll say no recommendation. So I was surprised to see the deny, but when you really read into the meat of the staff report, it is supportive, and it does say it's not substantially detrimental to the neighbors, to the neighborhood, things like that. So I would be in support, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ann. Cecia, you're going to be voting on this. How do you feel about it?
Yeah. Well, I've had a difficult time getting behind it because I just don't really feel like there's cause for hardship. So I really haven't seen anything in the presentation that's moved me past that.
Which
past
part of the
that feeling that-
criteria that we, our hardship considerations?
Yeah, I mean, there's no, let's go back to the criteria list. I mean, the shape of the lot isn't that different from the neighbors. And there's no, let me just go to the narrative. Yeah, literal enforcement would involve a substantial hardship. I mean, the hardship that's being stated is kind of personal, which is not what a real hardship is supposed to be. I think considerations about housing or adding or removing a unit is not really, I think, in the purview of, our zoning ordinance. And, I thought that the whole point of revamping the zoning ordinance was that we don't get cases like this where things are kind of on the edge and we're, saying yes because, it's not that bad, it's in the rear, and I understand those things. But I mean, I myself would like to stay with the letter of the ordinance, because you could always find, you can make most, additions look like, oh, well, it's kind of marginal, it's not so bad. But I don't know, I just find myself more in agreement with the staff memo.
Thank you. Catherine, do you have something to say?
Madam Chair, I'm on the fence, but I think I've walked down Lake Street pretty recently, in advance of this case, and there are a lot of similar duplex style, at least from the exterior, condos. But all of them tend to have a third floor. And it looks like a lot of them have continued through the back of the building, which is kind of what we're being asked to do here. So it feels like it would be in keeping with the street to allow them to have their third floor extend all the way out for this addition. It seems like it would match the neighborhood a little bit better than what we have now. I agree, there's nothing particularly unique about the lot that I've been able to hear, but I do think Brian had a good point where it doesn't have to be the soil conditions or the topography. It can be the building itself that creates the special consideration that needs to be given. I think that I'm inclined to say yes, given the neighborhood and the building itself. I do think there is a hardship while it being, if they were to try to extend to make the house more functional and have a bathroom available on each floor, which I think is a very reasonable want, they'd have to build out. And I don't know that we would want to do that. So I think I'm inclined to say okay to this one, given all of these facts. As
Thank
I
you
see
very
it.
much. Thank you, Catherine. I felt the same when I looked at it, and I'm still on the fence. I'm reading, the hardship variance considerations, and Brian did bring up a point about the shape of the house as opposed to the land. Me personally, I mean, it's very pretty, but I was taken aback by the design. I would have thought you'd want it to blend in more, as Ann said, be more subtle to the designs of the other buildings around. To make it pretty with all those windows, but to make it look like it's more of the natural for the neighborhood. To me, that like sticks right out. And, they did all this zoning, we did all new zoning. You bought it 2 years ago, it was zoned then. This isn't somebody, we came in and changed it after you moved in. So I'm on the fence on it. I like what Zach said, and even Brian, I got my notes here, but Cecilia, about the housing situation. You don't want to make people have to get out on the first floor because you need all that space after 17 years. And everybody can stay intact. Nothing's changing in the yard. So I'm trying to talk myself into this, but I was taken aback by the design. I don't know. We need 4 votes for this to go tonight. We have myself, Cecilia, Catherine, and Ann Brockelman, and Zach all voting. I think Zach was a yes. I think I'm a yes, and I think Catherine's a yes. I don't know about Ann and Cecilia for sure. Is Ann a yes? We'll take a vote, but we have to have, if they don't have 4 votes,
Yes, I'm a
I
yes.
come back. You're a yes. So I don't know if they want to continue. If anybody, I don't need more time. I just feel I'll feel the same way, in a week. I don't mind. It's not impinging on anybody. So I would say yes. So does anybody have anything else they want to say? No? Catherine, can I ask you to please make a motion for the 34 Allen Street on the 29 Lake Street on the hardship variance, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. Given our conversation and our findings, I make a motion to approve the applicant's request for hardship variance and relief from the maximum amount of stories permitted in the neighborhood residence district, and subject to the suggested permit conditions in the July 12th, 2023 staff memo.
Thank you. May I please have a second to the motion?
Madam
Ann,
Chair.
is someone speaking?
Yes,
Is that-
Madam Chair, this is Emily Hutchings. I apologize for the interruption. I had noted that I believe that RISA planning, the planner who has reviewed this application would like to speak in criterion 1. I don't know if the board is ready to vote, then it may be beyond that point, but I just did want to note that for you all.
Well, before we get a second on the motion, we want to hear what the staff person who wrote the report and has been handling this case have to say.
Yes.
Madam Chair, this is Catherine. I think more diligence is always better. Let's
Right.
hear
Thank you. I want to make sure we're on the same page. Are you speaking for her, Emily, or is Raisa, did you get on board?
Madam Chair, this is Raisa speaking.
Are you all set now?
Yes, sorry, I was having a little technical difficulties earlier. I did want to address the board regarding criterion 1 and the staff memo as it was discussed earlier. Staff does not believe that criterion 1 was met in this case. There is a unique characteristics to this lot, the rear of the lot line. However, there is no direct correlation that shows that the applicant has a hardship in this situation. So I just really wanted to bring that to the board. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Does anybody have questions of the staff? No. We're all set. Thank you so much, Raisa. I think I will say one thing to staff, and for the record, I think the point you're bringing out, and it's normally and usually the topography or the soil conditions or the shape of the land that the building is on. And I think sometimes when they want to add on to a side or a back or whatever, they start, they need that hardship, and they're going to be close to an abutter, or there's a wall involved or something else. So I think we are making the building the source of the hardship. That, it's on this narrow little lot of land, it's a narrow skinny building, and that it's the shape. I believe, that we felt that character, if I understood a couple of people what they were saying and Brian said, I think that's how it's unusual, but I think that's how we're interpreting that. Is that what we got? Is that what I got from everybody? That we're taking the shape of the building and size, and rather than have them go out in the overhang of the property? Okay?
Yes, Madam Chair. This is Catherine Garavaglia. May I have a few moments to speak?
Yes, please.
Great. So yes, we were discussing the building itself, the existing structure being the special circumstance. But I think Raisa brought up a point that we've been struggling with, and she made a conclusion that I think is subject to the board to decide if we agree with or don't. And her statement was that there is, I believe, she said, no hardship. And I don't know that I'm inclined to agree here. The building itself, I think, is creating a hardship for the applicants because they would like to expand their family. We do have an issue with not having a bathroom available, which if somebody is having a disability or any other problem, that could be extremely troubling. But also this particular unit in the condo, or this half of the duplex, has been split into 2 units. And the other hardship to them would be that they would have to displace their tenant. And I think that is a special circumstance if they want to stay. I don't know that it is the same typical circumstance we would like to see, but I do think it follows the spirit of Summer Vision and wanting to make sure that we have more housing available to people. Here we have a family that's been living in the lower unit for 17 years. And they are trying their best to try to preserve that while also creating space for themselves. The neighboring building that shares a wall with them is 1 unit. That creates a really different circumstance here. So I think given the structure of this, it would be a substantial hardship. Any other expansion would require far more relief and expense to pursue.
Thank you very much, Catherine. So, as everybody's digesting what Raisa had to say, and
Madam
Catherine.
Chair,
Yes,
may I add?
Here you are. I see you. Hello.
May I add a few additional comments? If
Yes.
that's okay. I also wanted to address the fact that currently the rear addition is compliant, and this proposal would make the rear addition not compliant. They also made an argument earlier about the stairs, but then the proposal would be for an elevator. Staff is still standing strongly on that there isn't a hardship in the situation. There is a unique circumstance to the rear of the lot that is fully that can be seen. However, there is no correlation between the rear lot line, the reduced width, and the expansion. That is all.
Zachary?
I'm just going to say, I think the PPZ has made their point. I don't know if it's really changing as we continue to discuss it. I think Catherine gave a really excellent summary of why we should approve this and solidified our reasoning for it. So I think we should go ahead and vote yes on this proposal.
I agree. Anybody else? No. Thank you, Raisa. Okay, so we're going to continue on, take our vote however it turns out. I believe with all the comments in between, I'd rather have a new motion, if we may, from Catherine, and then seconded, please.
Sure, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a motion in 29 Lake Street, P&Z 23-033 to approve the applicant's request for a hardship variance for relief from the maximum amount of stories permitted in the neighborhood residence district, subject to the conditions as stated in the staff memo dated July 12th of 2023.
Thank you. May I please have a second? And Ann Brockelman second. All in favor to approve the motion for 29 Lake Street, P&Z 23-33 for a hardship variance, please say aye. Catherine Garavaglia,
Aye.
Ann Brockelman,
Aye.
Zachary Zaremba,
Aye.
Susan Fontano, aye, and Cecilia Daglian,
Nay.
nay. Let the record show we have 4 yay and 1 nay. The petition carries, and good luck.
Thank you very much, members of the board and Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
Very much appreciate your time.
Can we do one more case before we take a little break? Is that okay with everybody? Okay. So the first case on the agenda was to be 391 to 395 Somerville Ave. Catherine, this is a new case, would you please open it? Catherine Garavaglia, you there?
Yes, but I forgot to take myself off mute.
It's okay.
It's
That's okay.
apparently been too long and I'm rusty. I apologize.
That's all right. You lube up. Okay, get with it. 391 to 395. You're on.
All right. Madam Chair, I'd like to open 391 to 395 Somerville Avenue, P&Z 23-039. The applicants are seeking to extend the validity of a previously approved special permit with site plan review that was under ZBA file number 2019-37 in the mid-rise MR4 district for a period of 1 year.
Thank you. Are the applicants here for 391 to 395?
Madam Chair, this is Emily Hutchings. I see that Victor Martins is here for the applicants. Mr. Martins, I have made you a panelist, so you should be able to unmute yourself on your end and come on camera if you would like.
Hi, Emily. How are you? Sure. Gladly come on.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Catherine. Did we lose Zach?
Yes, I don't see him. There he is. Is Catherine? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's all of us here, and we're welcoming Victor Martins.
Hi, how
Hi,
are you? Sorry,
Victor.
I apologize. I didn't realize
Welcome.
my work shirt off, so my apologies.
That's okay. So
Promise I'll
speak to
take care of
us.
Oh, okay. So we are looking to extend. So a little bit about us is this was my parents own this building. It was my mother's beauty salon for 30 something, 25, 30 years. Her current friend and business partner still runs it. I lived there. My aunt lived there. It was very much my home for my wife and I, and for my family members. We have a back lot that my father has always wanted to. He's 84 years old. He's always wanted to build on this lot. 2019, 2020 came, and we were approved, and then COVID happened, and then everyone the whole world shut down, and around 2021 he got COVID. He got really, really sick. And it's kind of a blessing in disguise because we found out that he had a brain tumor. So fast forward almost a year later, he had surgery, and it was a success. So we just got a clean bill of health from him, actually right before I sat down with Emily in May. So no new growth. It was fantastic. We were excited. So now we can focus back on this project that he's been wanting to do for forever. And we're just looking at it, and it's kind of this time of year is our busy season, where I'm a property manager, so it's really hard for me to coordinate everything. And even though he's still doing, the brain tumor is great, that's like, thankfully. But we just did not have the time, because with prices, mortgages, everything going through the roof, we're like, how can we possibly do this in a timely manner before our permit expires? So we feel that if we were given an extension.
My telephone's in the front room. It's ringing. I think it's on the speaker.
Yeah, so if we were given an extension, that would provide us the time that we would need, because now all these health scares are over, and we obviously were not going to, it was an afterthought, this project. We just wanted to make sure that he was healthy and he was okay, and thankfully he is. So we sat down with Emily. He said, yeah, we're going to probably try to file for an extension here, because there's no way we can get anything done in time.
Great.
And that's it.
Thank you. That tells it, yeah. So you're coming for an extension till October 23rd, 2024.
Yes, that's exactly.
And what's your goal by October 24?
I would like to, we're going to be meeting with builders, kind of get an idea of whether or not we can afford to do this, to be honest with you. We're not like these huge developers, this would be our first project ever, where we've gone from the ground up. So it was a very daunting for us to begin with. We finally found somebody that that was reasonable, that we knew, that we trusted, and then COVID happened, and then they retired. So now we're back to square one, and it's meeting with people. It's a lot of money, and it's what we don't know what it costs. We don't know what our mortgage is going to be. We need to know like the time of the building, and if this is going to be a huge financial burden for my father, even though this is something he's always wanted to do, we don't want it to cripple him either.
Okay.
So, and at the time it made perfect sense. Now we're not sure, but we need the time to explore, and if we can do it, I'll put his name on a plaque right on that building if I can.
Okay.
And if we can't, then it's just money lost, unfortunately.
Okay. So, Brian Cook, you're voting on this issue tonight. I'd like to open it up to the floor, so to speak. Is there anybody that's here to speak in the matter of 391 to 335 Somerville Ave? Please raise your hand there so our staff can unmute you or appoint you or whatever. It's all new to me.
Madam Chair, this is Emily Hutchings.
Yes, Emily.
I do not see any hands raised at this time.
Okay. All right, so at this time, seeing nobody here to speak, I will close the public portion and go right to the board. Anybody have any questions on this, or is it a go for you? Anybody have a question, raise your hand, please. Brian? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the staff, just so I understand, I think this is one of Emily's. Emily, the current site plan approval is in effect, is that correct?
Madam Chair, through you, this is Emily Hutchings again. Yes, so this was a project that was approved under the previous zoning. So it is a site plan approval, site plan review with a special permit. I believe the acronym is an SPSR. So this was something that was approved by the zoning board prior to the adoption of our current zoning code. And it has received one extension, which was told during the state of emergency due to when it was issued. So now they're back before you.
Okay, so just so I understand, the special permit requires a site plan review and approval by planning and zoning staff.
So the previous zoning for this location required site plan review and a special permit for what was proposed on the lot because it was a second principal building, because it was because of the zoning district, it required review, and the zoning board at that time was the review board. If the applicant were applying for a site plan approval at this point, I believe the planning board would be the review board due to the new zoning, but because this is under the previous zoning, the zoning board was the permit granting authority under the previous zoning, so the applicant is back before you today.
I understand that. What I don't understand is what more does the staff have to do so that the applicant gets approval for moving ahead, assuming all the other steps happen, they get a builder, all that kind of thing.
So Madam Chair, through you, staff doesn't need to take any further action on this application at this point. If the applicant applies for a building permit under the specific conditions of the site plan review with a special permit, they could be granted that building permit. Because the applicant thinks they need more time to apply for that building permit, they are before you today, and staff has no concerns with that request.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else need any clarification? We're all set? Yes, okay. So at this time, I'd ask Catherine, please, our clerk, to make a motion, please.
I'm off mute.
Okay,
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the applicant's extension of a previously approved special permit for P&Z 23-039 for a period of 1 year.
may I have a second, please?
Second.
Second.
Brian Cook, second, and second. So in the matter of 391 to 395 Somerville Ave, P&Z 23-039, voting in favor, please say aye. Ann Brockelman,
Aye.
Brian Cook,
Aye.
Zachary Zaremba,
Aye.
Catherine Garavaglia,
Aye.
and Susan Fontano, aye. Let the record show there was 5 voting in the affirmative, so it passes unanimously. Good luck, Mr. Martins, and good health.
Thank you very much. You all have a wonderful evening.
Okay,
Bye now.
bye-bye. Are we ready for the next case? Does anybody need a break? No? Yes, break? Okay, I will give you, what, 5, 10 minutes? Okay, thank you.
For the record, it is 7:25 and the zoning board will return at 7:30. Board members, please remember to mute yourselves, and if you would like to go off camera, you may.
Thank you very much, Emily. Everyone back? I'd like to call the meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals, July 19, 2023, back in order, back in session. And our next case up this evening is 120 to 132 Middlesex Ave. Madam Clerk, would you please open this case?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to open 120 to 132 Middlesex Avenue, P&Z 23-059. The applicant is seeking to extend the validity of a previously approved hardship variance that was identified as P&Z 22-056 in the Assembly Square Mixed Use District.
Thank you. The folks for 120 and 132 Middlesex Ave on board? Hello, hello?
Madam Chair, this is Emily Hutchings. I'm sorry, I'm just going back to find the names that I was given.
This is Bryce speaking, Emily. Nicole Laboisiere should be the speaker for tonight.
I am
Teresa,
making
this is your
all-
case, right?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'm sorry I spoke over Emily. I apologize.
No problem, Madam Chair. I've just promoted Nicole to be the presenter. I am also trying to promote Darren Baird. It doesn't look like I am able to promote Darren, maybe due to how he's logged on to the meeting.
Uh-huh. Is Nicole present?
I am. I'm fine with starting if that's okay.
Please do.
Great. Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. Appreciate you for having us tonight. I'm Nicole Laboisiere, and I'm Director of Development at Divco West. And I'm joined by my legal team, Anthony Galuccio of Galuccio and Watson, and Darren Baird and Jadi Sanchez of Golston Stores. We're here to request a 6-month extension to the validity of our previously approved hardship variance from August 17th, 2023 to February 17th, 2024. As you may know, Divco West acquired a majority interest in 120 Middlesex from Capitol Hall in December of 2021. And over the course of time, we've worked with staff to design an appropriate life science development and have committed to paying into a fund for the acquisition and construction of a high-quality civic space elsewhere in the Assembly Square mixed-use district for the many benefits of all. We look forward to continuing our relationship with the City of Somerville to advance our permitting and to bring further research and development within a state-of-the-art facility to 120 Middlesex Avenue. And we appreciate staff's memo in support of our extension request tonight. I do have a presentation if you'd like me to present, but otherwise I'll turn it over to the board for any questions.
Right. I think, we're not, hi, this is Susan. I'm the chair. And, there's no need to go into a presentation. I mean, we know what you're all about and what you do. My question is, how come you need another 6 months? What's going on?
Yeah, this will provide us with additional time to complete our master plan special permit, major amendment, and site plan approval process with city staff departments that are currently underway.
Okay, great. All right. Any of the board members? Now, let me believe, what am I doing here? Brian, I believe you're voting on this case. Cece, you voted on the last one?
No, I did.
Cece is next. I'm gonna write
Yes.
that right now. Thank you. I'm sorry. I apologize. So we have Cece and the rest of the board. Does anybody have any comments or questions for the applicant? No? So we're ready to vote? Okay. Madam Clerk, would you please make a motion?
Madam Chair, I apologize. This is Emily Hutchings. Have we had public comment period yet?
Oh, no, we did not. I apologize. Thank you for keeping me in line here. So on the public portion, is there anyone to speak in for or against?
Madam Chair, I do not see any hands raised at this time. Members of the public, again, if you would like to speak, please raise your hand. Madam Chair, I do not see any hands at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. I apologize. So without further ado, would the clerk please make a motion in the matter of 120, 132 Middlesex Avenue, P&Z 23059?
Yes, Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the applicant's request for an extension of the previously approved hardship variance that was identified as P&Z 22-056 from August 17th, 2023 to February 17th, 2024, subject to the conditions as contained in the staff memo dated July 12th of 2023.
Thank you. May I have a second for the motion?
Second.
Seconded by, who was that?
Zach.
Is that Zach? Zach, thank you, Zach. Seconded by Zach Zaremba, and the vote goes. Ann Brockelman,
Yes.
Susan Fontano, yes. Zach Zaremba,
Yes.
Catherine Garavaglia,
Yes.
and Cecilia Daglin.
Yes.
Let the record show it was unanimous, 5 votes on the affirmative. Thank you, folks. Keep going.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.
You too, hon. 118 Rogers Ave. And this will be with Brian Cook.
Madam Chair, did you want me to open it?
Yes.
Yes. I'd like to open 118 Rogers Avenue, P&Z 23-036. The applicant is seeking to further extend the existing nonconformity for the required rear setback in the neighborhood residence district and requires a special permit finding.
Thank you very much. And the applicants are?
Madam Chair, Valerie Humblett is present. Ms. Humblett, I'm making you a presenter. I apologize if I have pronounced your last name wrong.
This is Rice speaking. Can Chris Brown also be made into a panelist to speak? He's also a speaker tonight.
Yes, hold on one moment, sorry. All right, they should both have been promoted to presenter or a panelist and should be able to unmute themselves and speak.
So welcome. Who would like to speak? In the matter of 118 Rogers Ave, who'd like to speak, please?
I think,
Hi,
can you?
can you hear me? I'm unmuted.
Yes, you are unmuted. You're all set.
Okay, terrific. Thanks.
Now, who are you and what do you do?
Sure. I'm architect representing residents at 118 Rogers, and I believe they're on the line as well, and they might like to speak, just introduce themselves.
So, hi, I'm Valérie Arblay. I've been a resident of Somerville since 2004, living in this house at 118 Rogers. So 118 Rogers is a 2-family house divided into condo, and both units would like to work on the extension of the existing deck on the first floor and adding a deck on the second floor.
Okay.
Terrific.
Have a presentation?
Would you like me to share my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay, I have the presentation for tonight, I think, queued up right here. One moment. Just gotta get it here.
Take your time.
Yeah. Here we go. Oh, shit. Yeah, I think I have to open screen preferences here. Apologies. Give me one moment. I have to allow GoToMeeting accessibility. I'm on my Apple and it is persnickety and will not let us show things without allowing this. Okay, I don't know how to do this right now. Thought we had it all figured out. I can't show my screen because my computer won't let me.
Okay, so we have the plans, which we can look at our plans.
Sure.
That might help us a little bit.
Madam Chair, a point of procedure. This is Emily Hutchings. I apologize for interrupting. You should all have access to the plans, and they are posted online on the Planning and Zoning Reports and Decisions page as well.
Right, and I'm looking at myself. I pulled up the plans, but I ran down to A003. That kind of shows the back of the house with the porches and stuff. So Chris, why don't you speak to us while we're looking at this?
Sure.
We're looking at I'm looking at A003.
Sure, I can almost describe it in words.
Sure.
Basically, there's well, just to start off, we looked at the overall footprint and thanks to the help from ISD, quickly discovered that the hardscape exceeded the allowable percentage of lot coverage. So we've made the bold move to, this is mainly for groundwater. So we've made the bold move to create an entire driveway of pervious paving, which they've looked at and approved. So what that did in effect was it freed up a significant amount of footprint allowable. So we sort of passed that test first. So it works there and we've achieved that. And then for the actual hardship that we're seeking this evening, it's really a rear property setback that is already non-conforming in that an existing first floor porch exceeds it, and it sort of cuts right through the middle of it. The relief we're seeking is to extend that porch principally at the second level outward from what would be a setback that restricts it to only about 3 feet. We'd project it out to 10 feet. So actually it's a little more than 3 feet. We'd extend it outward by 5 feet. And the main purpose of the hardship is that, as explained, the upper unit has no direct exterior space and relies on a back stairway that is shared with the lower unit. So the hardship at stake is, and I heard mentioned earlier about personal stuff, the hardship is truly personal in that a direct access from the unit on the second level outward is basically the thing that is being sought. And the fact that the existing porch is non-conforming already, we were allowed to build a footprint outward overhead of it, according to the ISD and I think the zoning, because that footprint has been taken. So in order to go a little further and have just enough room to effectively put a table and chairs out there for outdoor dining and basically have something more than is just 5'4" in depth by going a little bit further is the hardship we're seeking. And I wish I could get my screen to show the show the presentation.
We can see it.
Okay.
We all have that. Yeah, we can see that. So there's, so is this, I hate to sound foolish, but so the second floor, that what I'm looking at here by the side is that the second floor porch is gonna overhang the first floor porch at the
It
end of the
would.
day.
It would, and as a consequence, it overhangs, so it would basically make more sense to just build the first floor porch out as well, rather than have like it covered dirt.
Oh,
So
so you're petitioning to break both of them out, build a new one on the
yeah.
second floor and extend the first floor.
Yes.
Okay, good. That's what I thought, but I was getting confused. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
no, it's not.
All right.
We would absolutely make it worth its while to the porch underneath as well.
And this is, just for the record, because you used the word hardship, this is a special permit that you're applying for.
Sorry, it is a special permit. I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So,
Not me to say hardship. It is, it's a special ask to exceed this setback. And the real purpose is to provide sort of meaningful exterior space at this two-level upper lower unit arrangement.
okay, great. Thank you. With the, Valerie, did you want to add anything to Chris's comments?
No, I think he, described the project quite well.
Thank you. Raisa, did you want to add anything before we go to the public portion?
I'll just add an additional few comments, just clarifying that this is a special permit finding pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6. And that is only because they already have an existing non-conforming rear setback. So ISD determined that they do not qualify for a hardship variance in this application because they're further extending the non-conformity.
Great. Thank you. Emily, would you please open the public portion?
Madam Chair, this is Emily Hutchings. If any members of the public would like to speak on this matter, please raise your hand. I do not see any hands raised at this time, Madam Chair.
Okay, so we're going to close this public portion of the meeting.
I apologize, Madam Chair. I think I might see a hand that was
All right,
raised.
take your time. Yep.
But it was lowered again. If the individual, all right. I see a John Higgum. Mr. Higgum, I have unmuted you. You are self-muted on your end, so I think you have unmuted yourself. You should be able to speak now.
Good evening, everyone on the board. Thank you. My name is John Hyam. I live across the street at 119 Rogers Ave.
Yes.
And I support this application. These great neighbors, and it's at the rear of their home, and I support their application to get better use of their home. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for your input. Is there anybody else, Emily?
Madam Chair, I do not see any other hands raised.
Okay. So we'll now close the public portion of 118 Rogers Ave, P&Z 23-36, and then open it up to the board for their comments. And as I stated earlier, Brian Cook, our alternate, will be voting on this case. You have any questions, anybody, for the folks applying or for Raisa? No? Ann Brockelman, good evening.
Evening. Can you explain again, proposing to reduce lot coverage? I mean, lot coverage, I think of building footprint, but you were actually talking about pervious versus hardscape.
Yes. That's what I was talking about. We discovered
Looking at the site plan. Go ahead.
yeah, we discovered with ISD that it actually was non-conforming even with the groundwater piece. And sort of as a, you know, since we were making an ask here via this already, I would say Razia knows how to word it better, but reconfigured nonconformity already. We recognized under the special permit that you can only ask for one item. So we worked with the ISD and with Razia already to reduce the pervious impervious ratio so that we solved one condition for the site so that we could just narrow it down to just this one special permit ask.
And that is by changing the material of the driveway?
Yeah, it is.
From asphalt?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're definitely definitely some room to spare now in terms of we're over the minimum for or the maximum for lot groundwater coverage. So we're recharging the groundwater again back to the standard that's required.
That's great. I don't see that reflected. You know, how is this being?
Yeah, my presentation kind of
Documented.
made it a lot easier to see because the one that you have probably does not have that. But anyway, it's a good thing.
And Risa, can you speak to this for Ann a little bit?
Would you mind rephrasing the question for me?
Ann?
How is their proposal to change? And I don't think lot coverage is the right terminology. How is that reflected in this set of documents?
I do not believe the documents that were submitted as part of this application fully showcases that information. However, that's in their narrative, and that's something that they've worked with ISD on.
So ISD will
Handle it.
ensure that follow-up is done.
Yes, I believe ISD met with this applicant earlier in the process to discuss the reducing of the lot coverage to make that compliant.
We've met with them twice. They're very happy with improving the amount of pervious area.
Okay, I mean, conceptually, you know, and the spirit of the improvements, you know, I do agree with, right, which is better stormwater management, more outdoor space, and it does seem to be minimum, looking at the scale of the furniture, not extravagant, to be able to occupy the deck. But I find that I have difficulty just, you know, it's not conforming, let me ask. It's not like certain technical issues where it has to be more conforming by 6 inches or a foot or something, you know, it's just doubling the deck. So on the technical side, I'm having a little difficulty, although I love and support the spirit of the property improvements. But again, it's not a hardship variance, so maybe there's a difference. I'll let other board members weigh in.
Maybe I can explain it just a little better. By changing the driveway from impervious to pervious, it bought us that extra percentage of coverage, of which a small portion could be applied to the deck in order to get the deck to work.
Okay, that's much clearer.
It's sort of
you're
trade-off, if
changing.
you will, if that helps.
Okay. Yes, that helps a lot. So you're exchanging, I guess you're buying back pervious and you're using the impervious for the deck.
Correct. We had to sort of solve for that first, and then we ended up with an excess of which we could, in theory, apply footprint. However, then separate issue, we ran into the setback. So the first issue was solved and sort of not on the table here. Sorry to confuse and throw that in there, but was part of the process. We dealt with ISD and Razia was great and helped us understand what that was. And then procedurally, Razia really helped us because apparently you can only ask for one condition of a special permit, which was news to us. So it was dealt with separately and independently and is isolated now to this setback issue.
Thank you. All set, Ann? Great. Anybody else? Brian?
I just want to comment that it seems like this is pretty easy to address the appropriate language in the statute, which is that this extension will not substantially be more detrimental than the existing non-conforming use as far as the neighborhood is concerned. And I don't see that it's substantially more detrimental. In fact, it's less detrimental, if you ask me, even though it's further incursion into the setback.
I agree. I like what they did with the driveway. And it seems, you know, with some of these cases tonight, we've had several over the past few months of people really wanting to stay here in Somerville and stay in their homes and enjoy them with their families. And I think that's what this is all about. It's a nice home, 2 condos. They just had that little Juliet thing out there, or whatever you want to call it, with the sliding door. And this lets people want to, you know, share in their home more. And with the work and school the way it is still hybrid, a lot of people are doing that, and they need this, you know, this little venting, some room to spread out in. So I'm in favor of this tonight. And if anybody has any other comments, I'd like to hear them. No, hearing none, then we'll go to Catherine, our clerk, for her to make a motion. Catherine?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the applicant's request for a special permit to extend the existing nonconformity for the required rear setback in the neighborhood residence district, subject to the conditions in the staff memo dated July 11th of 2023.
Thank you. May I please have a second?
Seconded.
Second.
Seconded by Zachary and followed up by Ann. Go around. Ann Brockelman? Yes. Catherine Garavaglia?
Yes.
Brian Cook?
Yes.
Zachary Zaremba?
Yes.
And Susan Fontano, yes. Let the record show is unanimous. All 5 members voting in the affirmative. Good luck.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy.
Thank you.
The
Good evening.
next case, good evening to you as well. The next case is our last case of the evening, 36 Radcliffe Road.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Andrew's case. Hi, Catherine.
Sorry. Madam Chair, I'd like to open 36 Radcliffe Road, P&Z 23-024. The applicant is proposing modifications to a detached triple decker in the urban residence district and requires a special permit.
Thank you. Hello, are the applicants here? Lydia and I don't even dare try to pronounce your last name and be rude.
Madam Chair, this is Emily Hutchings. I have promoted Lydia Sidlaska, I believe.
Showing off now, Emily. Good evening, Lydia.
Good evening. How are you?
Very good. So tell us what you want to do.
I have the drawings up, and if I'm allowed to share, I can do that.
Please do.
Can you see the drawing?
No,
Mhm.
we see a bunch of lines here. I think you have to pull the drawing out.
Can you see it now?
Nope.
Okay, so what do I do to share?
Emily,
Ms.
or
Saplaska,
Andrew?
this is Emily Hutchings. We are seeing your screen. I believe it's just the incorrect screen. Right now, we're seeing just your folder with the.
Oh, okay, okay. Maybe this will help.
Yes, so we are seeing the plans now, although they are small.
Okay, okay, so let me just close this out, and I think I can figure this out right there.
There we go.
Okay, that's a PDF. So good evening, my name is Lydia Shadowska. I will pronounce my last name. I am here to represent Eva Wang, who's the owner of 36 Radcliffe properties in Somerville. As it was mentioned, this application is for a special permit, and it is concerning, in very simple words, it is concerning only two things, which is providing a stoop and an entrance from the basement on the rear of the house, and a new deck with the steps. And I would like to present the site plan, which is on the left. You can see what the existing porch was, and I would like to point out that the entrance to the basement was on the left side of the building, where it says plantings. And so we're proposing to close that off, and we're proposing to build steps and from concrete, and this way you will be able to go from that level to the basement, which provides a second means of egress for the basement. Let me explain what this project is all about. So basically, we're currently the contractor has a permit for the building, and it is not including those two elements. So those two elements have to be added through the special permit because they were considered a modification to the existing structure. As you see on these floor plans, the left side, starting from the bottom, it's existing basement plan, and you can see the stair. And to the right, it is proposed basement plan to show that the concrete opening being closed and the new entry to the basement is being provided. The above is existing first floor plan showing the exit way from the first floor and the new exit way to the new deck on the right side. And each floor above presents the same idea, which provides eliminating the interior staircase on the second floor that was used as a second means of egress, and it provides second means of egress in the form of the new deck through all the levels. And here are the left front and left, all the elevations basically. So the front elevation here is our new building elevations. And the front elevation is not in the context here. When you see the side elevations and the rear up above, you'll get a feeling for what it it will look like before, and what it will look like in the future. I actually have a photo as well that I would like to share of the existing, if you want to see that as well. I believe I have to move it from the screen. This was the existing structure before. And the reason for this structure not being able to function is that it's in a very bad condition and it has to be redone. Okay, and the set is completed by showing the building section with the concrete steps into the basement door and the section through the deck right there, as well as a couple of other sectional details that we included here. And they were part of the original zoning board, regular permit set sections. Do I have anything else to add? Yes, I do. We had a neighborhood meeting that we had held, and there was only one person from the neighbors that showed up, and he was with an agreement that this was not going to be detrimental for anyone, and there was no other oppositions. I guess I would like to see if you have any questions.
Thank you. Before we ask you some questions, we're going to open up for the public portion to see if there's any of your neighbors here, anybody that have a comment, pro or con. Emily, could you help us, please?
Madam Chair, this is Emily Hutchings. If anyone from the public would like to speak on this matter, please raise your hand. I do not currently see any hands raised. Give it one more moment. Madam Chair, I do not see any hands raised at this time.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we'll close the public portion and open it up to the board with their comments. And the person handling this case tonight was Andrew. I don't know if he's here, or if not, one of the staff people can help us. So, hi, Andrew. Nice to see you.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see everyone tonight.
Welcome. Well, we had a nice full roster tonight, so I'm glad we get you involved.
Absolutely. Here to help.
Okay. Do you have any comments you'd like to make to the board before we start asking any questions, or are we just ask you some questions, huh?
Nothing in addition to the staff memo, which I'm sure you all read. We staff recommend approval. ISD has confirmed compliance. That's all from me, but happy to happy to answer any additional questions or comments.
All right, thank you. So I'd like to open it up to the board. Cecia, you're voting on this case. Any comments or questions? Did everybody understand what's happening here? No questions, I see. So that's a good thing. Does everybody ready to vote? Yes? Well, yes, heads are shaking. So let's go for it. Ms. Catherine, our clerk, could you please make a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the applicant's request for a special permit to modify the triple decker in the urban residence district subject to the conditions in the staff memo dated June 26th of 2023.
Thank you very much. Seconded by Ann Brockelman. All in favor, please say aye. Catherine Garavaglia.
Aye.
Ann Brockelman.
Aye.
Cecia Daglin.
Aye.
And Zachary Zaremba.
Aye.
And Susan Fontano, aye. Let the record show is unanimous approval in the matter of 36 Radcliffe Road, P&Z 23-24. Good luck, congratulations, and enjoy.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Good night.
Good night.
Let's see here. I think we covered Other business, let me see, rules, regulate, okay, what are we doing here? Other business. None. Anything else, Emily, for us?
Madam Chair, this is Emily Hutchings. I do not have anything else for you. Congratulations on getting through 6+ items in just over 2 hours.
And a couple of variances in there. That's big. I want to thank our alternates tonight, chiming right in. Zach, everybody for speaking up. We got to hear from you. Let them know what we're thinking about, what to anticipate, and it's all good. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any other comments tonight? No? Okay, I'd like to have the clerk make a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Seconded by Ann Brockelman. All in favor, say aye. Catherine Garavaglia,
Aye.
Ann Brockelman,
Aye.
CCR, Daglian,
Aye.
Zachary Zaremba,
Aye.
Brian Cook, and I don't see him here, Susan Fontano, aye. It's unanimous, thank you. Before we sign off, Catherine, I don't know if you want anybody to say anything about this, but Catherine's grandmother passed away. And I just thought you'd all like to know, I didn't know if you heard it, how you heard it, or when you heard it, but sincerest condolences, Catherine. To
Thank you,
you and
Madam.
yours, to you and yours. Okay, everyone. Thank you, Catherine. Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.